And now we're up and running. All right, gentlemen, welcome to the War Room. This is War Room here. I know, Angel, you're going to make fun of me. That's okay. I am with Angelous Novus, also aka Angel, and Ainsworth. And these guys are also administrators with me in the Discord channel that we have, the War Room. And we are here to talk about Europa Universalis, The Price of Power. It is now coming out very soon. In fact, November 18th, Ainsworth.
Yeah, yeah.
Right about. We know it's on the boats. In fact, the last time I tracked it for the U.S. shipment, it was actually outside of California. So,
Actually, it's the Panama Canal now.
nice, nice. Okay, okay. This, just to clarify, this does not belong to anybody here. This is the mod that's been built upon from Aegir Games that they uploaded a while back. But you and Angel have done some serious significant changes to this mod. Before we go any further and talk about the mod, let's talk about you guys first. So let's start with Angel. Angel, I know you're passionate about Europa Universalis. This was our first mega game for the War Room channel. Why do you like Europa Universalis?
Well, thank you, War Room.
You're welcome.
War Room, Ainsworth, and I became friends last year around this time. No,
Are we friends?
Are we friends? I think you owe me money. Go ahead.
well, yes, buddies, whatever you want to call it, game buddies, friends. Yeah, I will call you friends.
Absolutely.
So, I Ainsworth. So through the TTS Club Discord server, a very important server for people that like to play board games online via tabletop simulator. So Ainsworth, well, I met both of you on the Discord server on TTS Club. I met War Room over a year ago because he wanted to play and learn Republic of Rome, and we were just three guys trying to learn that game for a few sessions, and then we kind of couldn't really learn the game together. But then we started playing other games, and that's how I met War Room.
Hmm.
And then one day, Ainsworth offered teach and play of Europa Universalis, and that's how I met Ainsworth. And then I started playing Europa Universalis with Ainsworth. I really got into it. And then after that, I invited War Room invited me to his Discord channel, and then I invited Ainsworth to that Discord channel. And then we had the marvelous idea to, after a few friends, after a few people that we've all met online, like jump into the War Room channel or the War Room server. Um, we all decided that we wanted to do a mega game, our first mega game. So we had this voting. We each proposed, well, it was six of us or seven of us, and we each proposed one game. I actually proposed Europa Universalis. Others proposed Republic of Rome and Parity 4 and some other War Room, the board game. So we each proposed one game, and after a few weeks of knockouts of some games, blah blah, Universalis got selected as our first mega game. So we now all had to learn the game and play the game, and so we had sessions where we were just tutorials and stuff. And I started to talk to Ainsworth because the official mod from Aegir Games drove me crazy. I thought the layout and the ergonomics, the virtual ergonomics were not good enough for me to really interact with the game the way I wanted. So I talked to Ainsworth and I said, you know what, I really want to do some changes and kind of customize the mod. And so we worked for like 3 months. It was long, or even more than that. We worked endless hours to end up with this mod that we have here, this layout, this customized mod based on the official Aegir Games Europa Universalis mod. and we have a lot of features and a lot of good things that we'll show. But okay, that was not the question that that was
That's
not
all
the
right.
question. The question is why I like this game. I love 4X games. I love grand strategic games. I like long, complex games, and this has all of that in spades. And I like it because it makes sense, because the actions that you do, the things that happen, make sense within the context of the game, the history of the game, and the pace of the game. I think it's a marvelous design. One, it's probably in my top five, if not top three games of all time. And sorry, I'm a little
That's okay.
sick. You have to experience it for yourself. It's daunting. It's very, very complicated. I created, well, with Ainsworth, we created like a player aid. It's over 30 pages, just like a summary of the rules. You have to study this game and you have to practice this game in order to play, but it's one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever had in a board game format.
Absolutely, and well said. It's a very beautiful mod. This is just to clarify. This is not the mod that's out yet. We have another mod that's updated, but it's the older version. This is Ainsworth's latest creation, along with you. Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's true.
Okay. And I have played this version with you guys. Excuse me. This is type the weather. Mm. So this isn't uploaded yet, but you're working on it. I know that there's some things that you wanted to fix and get some bugs out, but this is the cover of the game, just like when it starts. So those of you who are looking at this, you're like, well, this doesn't look like the board game because there's a cover on it, and that gets removed depending on the scenario that you chose. But before we get into that, I don't want to get into that yet. Angel, have you ever played, before we get to Ainsworth, have you ever played Europa Universalis 4 or any of the computer games first, or did you just jump into this first?
Yeah, actually, for my case,
Mm,
I came into the board game space pretty recently.
okay.
So about 3 years ago. So around the start of the pandemic, you know, was feeling very lonely, not much to do at home. So I was like, okay, let's find some things. And then I just kept playing one of my favorite video games, which was Europa Universalis
Mm-hmm.
4. Um, and then after that, I was searching through the web and I found out that it had a board game version. I was like, board games can do that? Because I was coming from the space where I only knew Monopoly, like, the basic things you can find in Target or your general game stores. So when I hopped into it and I look at the rules, I was like, man, this is daunting, but I really like puzzles. So this game, for me, one of the reasons why I love it is because it feels like a puzzle. It's advertised as a 4X game, which I would argue that it's actually more of a 3X game. Not a lot of exploration. It's more like exploring the, I would say, alternate scenarios you might want to do uh, in history. But other than that, it's has all the other X's, I think, down. So yeah, this feels like a puzzle to me, in a sense that you're at the first few rounds of the game, you're in a you have to assess basically your strengths of your realm, your nation, and also assess where you're gonna go from. So it's either you approach this game as a Euro game, which it has a lot of elements to, but you can also approach it in a much more chill manner. Like, okay, I want to create a recreate the borders of today's uh, today's version borders of Germany as one of the smaller German states here
Mm-hmm.
in the HRE.
Right.
So that's one. Second, it feels Like it has all of these different mechanics that, as Angel has mentioned, is easy. I would say easy to learn individually, but hard to put together to create a strategy that works for you.
Interesting. Okay, so then you were the video gamer that went to the board game, and here we are today with this phenomenal mod. That's
Yeah, and I
awesome.
would say the elements of the video game translated pretty well into the board game.
Okay. Yeah, believe it or not, many years ago, that's all you had were board games. For old guys like me, we had, Macintoshes and Ataris, sure. Um, but like I just recently became in possession to the 1993 Europa Universalis, and it's a monster compared to this. But this one here, like you said, it is complex. It does have mechanics. It does have a lot of stuff going on that you just don't see normally. So in most games, so if you're looking for a challenge, then you'll definitely find it in the Price of Power.
Yeah,
Um,
plus the solo version for this is, I would say, amazing.
I got to play with the bots. I'm still learning the bots. I'm currently doing a one player with human players, and I find it to be like you said. It's a puzzle. You're constantly looking. You're constantly, you're learning new things as you play. And things you forget, some things you like here, like the HRE for me has been a real challenge because it's like rules within the rules of a game. So, can we open up maybe a scenario and see how this bad boy opens up? Let the folks see what it looks like.
Okay. So currently, as Warren has mentioned, it's currently blocked
Mm-hmm.
by different things, like kind of like different regions in the map. However, to the right, you have this kind of like information board. What this basically does, it allows you to select the scenario you want to play. So currently, the only one that's really not as buggy is the first scenario, which is usually what players get into when they first play the game. It's like a sort of introductory scenario. So yeah, so you just click start.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, so
Oh, beautiful.
so it automatically sets up the different tokens of the game, the kind of like the region in place.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, setup alone. I'm playing the older version. That could take a long time in of itself.
Sets the cards too.
Love it. Yeah, we're getting that too on the recording. Beautiful. Oh, it's already got the events, everything. Love it.
Yeah.
And then there's the music playing. I love it. Yep. And this is currently not out yet. You are still working on this.
Yeah, I have. If you look at the over here, that's
Let's see.
basically the different scenarios that I'm working on.
Gotcha. Understood.
So I have to like, other than that, 5 more. Um,
Awesome. That is phenomenal. And I was taking a look while you were talking earlier. If you look up here by the HRE rules, you got your information, your iconography, because it's a euro, so it has a lot of symbols involved. But if you click the different, you got the Holy Roman Empire explanations, which that's big. That's been an issue with me trying to learn it on the other one. The next one, HRE lands. I love it. I love how easy, at a touch of a finger of a button, I'm gonna turn off the music for myself. Yeah, NPR Emperors. You got the Papal Curia. You got everything at the touch of a button, which is huge. That's gigantic. Down here you got the robe. You can switch between the sequence of play, which is right there for you. The second sequence of play. Let's see, what is this here? Event icons. Here is your diplomacy, trade. You can put the trade cards right here, which is really cool. and then of course home, which brings it back here, just an empty space. Um, can you explain how difficult it was to program all that? Or was it difficult
Well,
at
I
all?
don't have any programming background. However, I was so invested into the board game that I was like, okay, let's start learning a couple of basic things.
Okay.
Um, at the start it was easy. What I basically did was I just borrowed from the different mods that I'm already familiar with,
Hmm.
and just basically use the assets of the game in those scripts. So
Awesome.
it's not more like the code itself is not originally done by me. It's a mishmash of different creators, which I'm very grateful to.
Hmm.
And that's how this came to be.
That's awesome. I also noticed that we scripted in here a treaties board. I remember that. That's pretty cool. Whose idea was that?
I think it was Angel's idea that prompted me to do this, right, Angel?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned, and you also mentioned War Room while we were playing one of our tutorial games, that it didn't have one of those kind of like things in TI4 where you a promissory note, right?
Yep.
You don't have those kind of things. So there's no real kind of like player to player diplomacy that's actually a game mechanic. The rule book just says that you can do whatever you want, but I mean that's pretty much applicable with any other board game.
Hmm.
So this one is basically to supplement that, and it can lend to fun scenarios too. So what it basically is you take one of these cards. This is a bag, so you just take it out, and then you basically come up with a treaty. For example, so any type of fun treaty name you want, like funny Duba, something like that, and then you put in the details. For example, War Room will sell me everything,
that's a
and then
that's a treaty my wife can live with.
Hmm.
and each player will bring up their decals up, and then sign in their respective, I guess, stamps. So, for example, if the blue player and the yellow player was both in for this, they just sign it like that. So it's just a kind of like a general reminder of the treaties that are ongoing in the game.
Awesome. That's really cool. That's really cool. Now, I also noticed too, right next to it, there is a battle board which you could use if you want to. You can name the battles if you wish to. I thought that was a really cool little addition. Obviously, with bigger battles, it tracks units, deaths, and everything here. Um, this wasn't in the original, correct?
No, it was. It is. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Okay. Okay. Um, but you don't have to use this. I noticed that you put in an automatic dice roller that implements all the different dice in one shot.
Yeah, I wanted to. If people want to like roll their dice here on this board, they could. But if they want a, if they just want to get through with it, then they can just roll these.
Right. Which is perfect for like the quicker, like couple of guys here and there. Just get it done over with. You click on however many you need, roll it, and you're done. There it is. I love it. I love
Yeah.
that. And then I want to say, what else was I looking at here? I can't remember. Obviously, you have different state changes, like for truces. I think that was already there. I'm not sure. Um,
Well, maybe I can just
please jump in, please.
jump in. So yeah, while Ainsworth and I were kind of like reimagining the mod,
Hmm.
I was just asking Ainsworth crazy ideas. Why don't we have this and why don't we have this other thing? And he was implementing all of those things. So that was like, I think it was an amazing collaboration that led us to like dream big and then the magic of Ainsworth made things happen, no?
Mm-hmm.
But I was coming with these crazy ideas. So one idea was the board. I wanted a board. I wanted to roll the dice. I really like to roll the dice. So here you do take the dice out of these bags. You create your dice pool depending on your forces and your leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and then you roll, and then you apply the hits, and then prior to combat, you determine the force that it's involved, and then every hit you just go down, no? And at the end, you have this will be the result, no? Of
Awesome.
however many forces you end up with, or wounds for your leaders, and then you just update your army. You never have to move your army here. You just update your army, whatever it is, to the numbers after the battle. So we thought that was really smart. It also I really like the tactile feeling of like really rolling dice. I actually dislike kind of like the automated
Sure,
DCs
sure, yeah.
fixes. I prefer this, but that's just a personal preference, no?
Right. And it's
And then
available, so it's available now that anybody, if whoever, however they want to, they can.
yeah, exactly.
Right. I
And
like
then the
that.
battle name was something that we came after we did the battle board, which I think is very good because you know, you can name it however you want. You can do it historically. You can do a funny joke.
Mm-hmm.
You can just name it contextually, no? And it's really fun.
And
Um,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. Sorry. And then yeah, we have all these little things that we were adding one at a time. Obviously, the battle board with the battle player aid, the trees with all this functionality that Ainsworth implemented. It's a very intricate process to create the event deck. That the event deck
I was gonna say, yeah.
it's a very important part of the game. Ainsworth is automating it now with the scenarios, so this will get kind of like discontinued unless you want to do like custom scenarios. But to build the decks is a very intricate process, and we decided we wanted to have a dedicated board just to create the deck. And then there's like a nice instruction section here, and you have to read these two parts in order for you to build the deck that you have to build for your the scenario, depending on how long it goes and how many
Right.
players and stuff like that.
Right.
So we did all this section here. Yeah.
And I did find that to be very helpful this when I was doing my single player games because obviously I don't have that yet because this isn't out yet. But it made it a lot easier to set up the deck and get it going. So
I
very
will let
nice.
Ainsworth talk about like the buttons that we devised here. But I
Yeah.
would just say one thing about the layout, because really, I would say my biggest contribution to this mod was ideas and the layout. I really spent a lot of time doing the layout. And at the end, what I wanted was for players to be as close as possible to the action, for people to look to without having to zoom in or out, could glance at the state of the board and see who was winning, who was doing what. So that is why you have, for example, the information on how much money you have, how much money you generate, how many provinces you have out there in the board. And so at a glance, you could see who's in first, or who has a big advantage and who doesn't. And based on that information, you can, ally with one or the other or attack one or the other.
Right.
So, and the other thing is that I wanted just the least amount of camera movement. So everything is oriented on like on this side. Like you always read things either uh, in this perspective
Mm-hmm.
or on the perspective of your board. So you only have to do two perspectives: your board, or you read the rule books and everything in the other perspective. No, instead of having like four perspective, which is like the official mod has it that way, and I dislike it because you have to move the camera a lot and it's distracting.
Right. 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 I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and then we put everything as close as possible to the action, and then We put all the cards in one section, we put all the tokens in another section, we put all the rulebooks in another section, and then everything that has to do with victory points, it's all together, no? Objectives
Yeah.
and technologies, and then the victory point track. It's all like very close to each other, so you can just zoom in and see who's winning and who has what. And then after that, there's a lot of functionality in terms of like customized things where we put rule books and stuff. But I will let Ainsworth talk about that. So go ahead, Ainsworth.
So about the rules themselves. So if you look over here at the bottom, I
Not
think
not
Warren.
like the functionality, like the all the customized things we have here.
Yeah. So you have here basically, as Angels mentioned, more than likely, if you're not looking at who's winning or how to get certain like objectives, more than likely you're gonna most of your time will be spent here, other than your own perspective.
Right.
So you have here basically your five major deck types. You have your event cards, you have your three action cards, and then you also have your trade cards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in this section we put these buttons that will kind of like help guide you, because as Warum and Angel and I have mentioned before, this is a very heavy game, and the learning curve for this game is steeper than most games.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted one of also the reasons why we made this mod is so that new players can just jump in and have a bit of a background of the game, like the basic rules. And if they have any questions, they don't have to go through the rule book, which is I'm just gonna tell is good, but it's not formatted in a way that it flows well. In a sense that, for example, if you have a rule that comes up, you have to go back and forth sometimes. But the rule book itself is good enough. Like there's no redundancies whatsoever.
Correct. Okay.
So yeah, so that's why we had these buttons implemented, which basically summarizes what you'll see in the rule book.
Right.
So this two buttons here is basically your part one and part twos of the sequence of play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, you just have to read that, and you also have here displayed the different types of cards and what the different symbols and the cards mean. So it's a quick kind of like reference.
Love it.
Then of course you have your second sequence playing. So you basically just read through all of this, and then you're good.
And I will
Um,
say from my experience too, um, you will be going through the rule book regardless. This just helps you with the little things, the
yeah,
tinier
it's
stuff.
summary, yeah.
Yeah. And that's always good with big games. It always helps out. Trust me.
Yeah, and then you also have these events which are outdated. Some of them are still up to their current effects, but
Mm-hmm.
some of them, like for example, attrition, is not,
Okay.
and disloyal vassals. I mean, I no, yeah, I think those are the only two that are actually different, but the rest are actually same. So,
Okay. All right. Let me.
and these
Oh,
are these terms and whatsoever.
okay. All right. I'm going to show it really quickly on the actual channel. It is under. I'm sorry. Is it A. Loriegan, man?
Yeah, yeah. What are you currently seeing here in the
Yeah. I'm on the page now. I'm blowing up your little side here so other people can see where it is. It's got the purple background, like the robe background. So if you see it, please support this because it is a really good mod. Now, again, the one that you're seeing that they're showing off now is not updated yet, but you have a lot of the features um, in that game. You just don't have the automatic setup. That's pretty much the one thing you have to still do with the one that is out now. But how long do you think? No pressure, Ainsworth. How long before you can upload the newer mod?
I would say around Christmas, because Christmas season, so
Yeah.
I actually have a life other than board games,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately, we all do.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so for me to actually finish this, it's gonna take time. However, I would say around Christmas.
perfect, perfect. Yep, and with the game actually coming out and almost here, I think anybody who wants to come out here and play this game, you're gonna find this mod to be very fun. And if you come to the Discord channel, come to the War Room Discord channel, we're all here. We'd love to play with you. We have mega games, and this is one of the games that we do play. You and I and Tally have a game going currently. But you guys blew it off because of Victoria 3. How dare you? and
We're only, yeah, you were only like 2 rounds away from finishing the game.
yeah, I think we're like in the fourth age or something like that.
No, third age, third age.
Third age, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, no, interesting stuff here. Guys, I appreciate this. We'll wrap it up here. I've shown everybody where to find it. We've pretty much showed off your updated version. And again, the only thing different, I think, is just the automation. And then, of course, the dice pool down here, the automatic one down here. That's about it.
And the at the bottom of the screen, you have these kind of like automatic
Scenarios.
no, at the bottom of your UI. So you have these little
Oh, yeah.
ducats, which basically represents your treasury. So if you,
That's right. That's right. Let
for
me.
example, yeah,
Yes. If you look at the lower right-hand screen, I got it right here. I totally forgot about that. You'll see green crosses and red dashes. So if I hit that number and you take a look here, it adds the coins right to your little screen here, and it shows it up here at the top at your counter. The right counter is when you're trying to upkeep, like maybe you spent some money and you're not actually showing it yet. You can use this one to do whatever you need to do and make changes. But yeah, if you press the negative marker, you take them away. The only thing with this one, though, and this is just to be fair, it has to stay on the mat. Sometimes they have a little bit of a physics issue, but like here, if I take the 1 away, it's at 32. It shows 31. But it's real simple. You pick it up, you put it right back, it counts it where it's supposed to be, and you're good. Really cool feature. That's a really cool feature. So, well, boys, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and we'll end the interview here. Anything you guys want to add?
yeah. So the mod is great, but if you really want to support the game, go to Aegir Games and buy the game itself.
Yes.
I recommend it, even if you don't have a lot of. It's a multiplayer game, but the solo version of this is very much worth the price, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think we have in the description of the mod itself the links to buy the game, like the site itself, but you can go to aegirgames.com and find the game there and order it.
Yep. I'll add a link
So,
myself too onto the YouTube descriptions along with our server for Discord. Yeah, please support. Always support. Because that's how these great games come about. Most of these mods wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the game themselves. So if you guys can, try to support your designers and help them keep churning out these great games. So, all right. I appreciate you both, and we'll end it here, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Okay.
yep.